Stαυρούλα from GrecoPathss and Carola also belongs to GrecoPathss crew.
Kalimera.
And Mrs. Julia,
Καλημέρα.
our grandmother, Yaya, who is here today to teach you how to make Greek Spanakopita, Spinach Pie. Θα μας πείτε λίγα λόγια για τη συνταγή.
Ναι, βεβαίως. Η συνταγή αυτή είναι από τη γιαγιά μου. Μετά την πήρε η μαμά μου, τώρα εγώ και την πήρα και στα παιδιά μου.
Mrs. Julia welcomes you in her home and she's teaching you how to make spinach pie that she learned from her grandmother. So it's a very authentic Greek recipe. Her grandmother told her, she is teaching her children and grandchildren to make spinach
Και
pie.
όλα τα υλικά είναι από τη φάρμα.
Όλα τα υλικά είναι.
Τα χόρτα που μαζέψατε.
Όλα είναι από τα δικά μας τα χτήματα.
Yeah, all the ingredients you see here are fresh and local from her own fields and farm. So eggs from her chicken, horta is picked from the olive fields, spinach. This is actually trachana, a Greek authentic product from wheat, and all the other ingredients you see there. It's all local.
We are going to explain step by step during our procedure of making the spinach pie. But before we make the spinach pie, is a must drink of Tsipro, which is a nice, how you can say, like grappa. You may know grappa, but it's different. It's a second distillation of wine. So yamas,
Yamas, to our health.
to our health and to your health.
Yamas. Okay, let's start.
Πάμε! Πάμε! Λοιπόν, stop.
Okay,
Stop now.
here we are with all the ingredients for your spinach pie. The spinach pie that your grandmother taught you to make. So please tell me, what are you using for your spinach pie? Πείτε μου τι θα χρησιμοποιείτε.
Θα χρησιμοποιούμε 1 κιλό σπανάκι,
1 kilo fresh spinach,
3 πράσα,
3 leeks,
1 ματσάκι κρεμμυδάκι.
3 small
Και αυτά είναι
fresh
τα μυρωδικά.
onions,
Αυτά είναι τα
and
μυρωδικά.
these are the herbs.
Άνηθο
Dill, parsley, a little bit of
Ναι.
parsley, and this is
Και
actually
καυκαλίθρες.
herb, Kafkalithris. It's a herb that grows here in the fields, and it's probably a Greek ingredient that will be difficult to find abroad. So this is what she's going to use for the for the spinach pie, we're only going to use greens and vegetables and herbs. Δηλαδή δεν χρησιμοποιείται αυγό και
ούτε αυγό, ούτε τυράκι, γιατί αυτή είναι παραδοσιακή.
Yeah, so she says this is the authentic recipe that she learned from her grandmother, and she's not using any eggs or feta cheese. So this is actually the alevri, the flour we're going to use for the phyllo.
Ναι, 1 κιλό αλεύρι βάζουμε.
Yeah, so she's going to put 1 kilo of flour,
Ναι, 2 κουταλιές λάδι, 1 κουταλιά ξύδι,
2 tablespoons of olive oil,
αλάτι
1 tablespoon of vinegar, and salt.
και νερό.
And water.
Και λίγο σόδα.
You're also going to put soda, a bit of baking soda. You're going to see it all in the procedure.
Κάτι γίνεται, παιδιά.
So tell me, Mrs. Julia, you're cleaning the spinach. Το καθαρίζεις δηλαδή.
Ναι, το καθαρίζω.
You see that it's very important not to cut a lot of the stems.
Αυτά τα διώχνουμε μετά.
Only the leaves that are not fresh anymore, and a little bit from the root. But you see, you keep it as a whole. As much as possible, you keep from the root and the stems. Because this is what all the...
Εδώ κόβουμε αυτό και το κίτρινο φύλλο.
So you see that she keeps it as a whole of spinach. She's not cutting only the leaves. We need the stems.
Κόβουμε τη ρίζα και αυτά τα πρώτα φύλλα που βγαίνει το φυτό. Και τα άλλα τα χρησιμοποιούμε όλα.
Yeah, so she's using everything. We're not cutting the roots and the stems, just a little bit from the root to clean it, and the outer leaves that are not fresh anymore. But we use it, we keep it as a whole, because actually the stems and the root is where all the vitamins and the minerals and the taste is. So don't use just the leaves, use the whole spinach. Ναι.
Διαφορετικό.
Ναι. Πάμε. Εγώ παίρνω ήδη και το κόβεις. Πάμε.
Ναι. Διαλέγουμε τα πράσινα, τα καθαρά
we
φύλλα.
want a clean green dill. If it's a little bit yellow, we don't use it.
Αυτό είναι παλιό.
Dill and spinach go very good together. So fresh onions, again here you just cut a little bit from
Μία
the
μεμβράνη.
root. We want to use it actually all. Root and stems have the best taste and nutrition. And of course you cut the leaves
Αυτό είναι σκληρό.
that are not fresh anymore. And
Σαν το κομιδάκι.
okay, the leek. Also here we cut the outer
Με τον
leaves.
ίδιο τρόπο,
Same as we did with the
σαν το
spring onion.
κρεμμυδάκι. Βρίσκουμε το τρυφερό.
Yeah, we want the tender, softer inside of the leek, like we did with the spring onion.
Αυτό δεν είναι τρυφερό. Είναι και λίγο μπαγιάτικο. Μην το πεις εσύ αυτό, το μπαγιάτικο.
Okay.
Ωραία.
Okay. And a little bit of parsley, not all of it. We're actually using more dill than parsley.
Μην το δείχνεις το...
And we're looking for the best,
Λίγο.
the best pieces.
Ωραία. Βγάζουμε τα κίτρινα φυλαράκια.
Yeah, we only want the green
Και είναι
fresh
έτοιμο.
parsley. And yeah, also here you use the stems. Don't just use the leaves.
Ωραία.
You will not be able to find abroad, but it's not really necessary for the spinach pie. The main ingredients are spinach, leek, spring onion, dill, and a little bit of parsley.
Μένετε στον άθλιο.
Εγώ. Ασίνη, εδώ.
Ας είναι.
Ναι, από εδώ είμαι. Τόσα χρόνια.
Τα παιδιά μου έχουν τον κόμπο.
Ναι, το ξέρω. Πάμε κι εμείς εκεί. Για πράγματα. Ο σύζυγός μου είναι αγρότης.
Έλληνας.
Και εγώ είμαι εδώ από το 95.
Πιο καλοί είναι οι Έλληνες.
Διαφορετική, ας το λέω έτσι.
Πολύ διαφορετικοί.
Και αυτά όλο θα το χρησιμοποιούμε.
Όχι, θα το βγάλουμε τα κίτρινα.
Α, ναι. Yes, over here outside, washing all the ingredients for the filling. And she's using a big bowl and the hose. It's very easy. Much easier actually than to do it in the kitchen in the sink.
Να σας πω εγώ,
Ναι.
εγώ τι κάνω, χωρίς τα μυρωδικά τα κόβω, αλλά τα κάναμε και έτσι παλιά. Τα κόβαμε όλα τα χόρτα. Τώρα εγώ για πιο ευκολία, επειδή πιάνω πολλές, όταν πιάνω κύπους, πιάνω 8-10,
Ναι.
τέτοια μεγάλα τα ψηλά.
Yeah, so it's easier to wash your greens for the filling like this, because she would not just make one spinach pie, she would make say many, like 8 spinach pies at the same time. So you have a lot of greens for filling.
Ωραία.
And actually, the spinach pie will get very tasty if your filling is not too much. So you get a very thin spinach pie, and the phyllo will get also tastier then. Okay, we are gonna wash it for a second time because we picked them fresh from the fields. We need to wash them very well.
2 και 3, ανάλογα μέχρι να...
Yeah, maybe even 3 times, she says, to get rid of all the dust and sand actually, and the dirt. So after we wash the greens and vegetables, we're gonna cut them. And Mrs. Jula has a very good trick. So you cut them on your wood, and then you have like a sieve next to it, so it can dry up good. We don't want the vegetables and the greens and the herbs to be too wet.
Εγώ το βάζω σε ένα ταψάκι μέσα να μην λιμπάρει.
So this is how you cut your. So this is how small you cut your vegetables. We've taken only the tender parts of the leek. And the Spinach Pie is actually going to be thin, like I said. Now we're going to make the filo. Tell me again, what are the ingredients we need? Για πείτε μου, τι είναι τα υλικά που θέλουμε?
Θέλουμε 1 κιλό αλεύρι.
1 kilo of flour that you actually with a sieve put in a big bowl.
Αυτό είναι 1 κιλό.
Yeah, this is 1 kilo.
Κάτι δεν φέραμε.
Τι άλλο χρειάζεται?
Αλατάκι.
Αλάτι.
Α, το έχουμε εδώ χοντρό.
Ναι.
Βρε, γιατί έφερε
So,
χοντρό.
you put some olive oil.
Ρίχνουμε λίγο λαδάκι.
Just a little. And you're gonna work the flour with the olive oil, and you're actually gonna do it with your hands like this because you want it to be like small pieces to stick together. This is just for the beginning. So you work the flour with your hands like that. So you put
Ρίχνουμε ένα κουταλάκι περίπου αλάτι.
a little bit of salt.
Ρίχνουμε, εγώ τώρα με το χέρι μου καλύτερα με αυτό.
2 spoons of vinegar. A little bit of baking soda. Just one little. Okay, so we put 2 tablespoons of vinegar.
2 κουταλιές.
2 tablespoons of vinegar. And a small spoon, a dessert spoon of baking soda.
Σόδα.
And then, και μετά
ρίχνουμε νερό.
And then we put water, and actually this is 1 kilo of water, but we use only half in the beginning, and then we're going to work the flour and see if we get the exact structure that we want. So don't use the whole kilo of water, liter of water in the beginning. Just use half of it and see how it's gonna end up. So we're actually sitting at a very low table and low small chairs. And this is the table that her grandmother, so in the old days, people used to make their phyllo. Because it's low and it's easy to work. You need a lot of muscle power. Θέλετε μπράτσα για να το βράξετε. So the structure actually has to be so that it doesn't stick to your hands anymore. And then we leave it to rest for about 30 minutes. You cover it, you put a cloth over it, and you leave it to rest for about 30 minutes so it will have the ideal structure. And in the meantime, you can continue with your filling. So the amount of filo we're going to make is for an oven tray like this. It's a big one. So at home, if you use a smaller one and you have some of this dough left, you can easily keep it for the next day to make other pitas, pies, because it's pie dough. Or you can put it in the freezer. And in the freezer you can keep it longer. Whenever you want to make a pie, you get it out. Hard work. Είναι πολλή δουλειά, κυρία.
Κοίταξε, πολύ σκληρό. Θέλει πολύ σκληρό.
Okay,
Ενώ το ψωμί είναι πιο ξεκούραστο.
Okay, it has to be like
Λοιπόν,
tough,
τώρα,
the dough.
το φτιάνουμε ωραίο.
Ωραία.
Έτσι. Το σκεπάζουμε και το αφήνουμε να ξεκουραστεί.
You cover it and you let it rest for about half an hour. So to cover your dough, you use a clean cotton tea towel, which you actually only use for this purpose.
Oh.
Okay, we leave it to rest to keep it warm, let's say, for half an hour. What are we gonna do? Τι θα κάνουμε τώρα?
Θα ρίξουμε αλατάκι,
We're gonna
λίγο
put...
μπόλικο.
Okay, we're gonna
Μπόλικο αλατάκι.
put
Λοιπόν,
quite some salt.
ναι, και θα πιάσουμε
greens.
αυτό να το κάνουμε έτσι.
And we're gonna actually distract the liquid. We're gonna distract the liquid from the greens
Κοίτα
and
μου
the
το κόψατε
vegetables.
χοντρά.
So, because you have added the salt and you're gonna work your greens and vegetables, you're gonna distract the liquid from it because you want your filling to be dry. Τα έχω κόψει χοντρά. Έχω να κόψει πιο... So you want the filling to be very fine cut and dry. No big pieces. The fine cuttings, and you take the big pieces out. It has to be very fine cut and dry to make the perfect filling for your spinach pie. So when you have done your vegetables and your herbs, very fine cut, and with the salt you distract all the liquids by pushing it out. You don't need to boil your vegetables and your greens or fry them a little bit in the pan with olive oil. You just have this fresh cutting for your pie. It's ready now. So instead of frying it or cooking it or boiling it, you use it like this. You actually squeeze the liquid out of your vegetables. So you take a handful of your cut greens that you worked on, you squeeze them so the liquid comes out and you have your ready filling. So this can go straight into the tray on your phyllo. You don't need to work on this.
Εμείς αντιφάμε.
So this you're going to use for your filling, for the spinach pie, and all the liquids, you can throw them away. And we're ready. Our dough has rested, and we're going to make the phyllo now. So you add some salt, because actually the salt you've put before has gone out with the liquid. And you put some pepper.
Θα το κάνουμε λίγο πικάντικο. Ρίχνουμε και λαδάκι. Το ανακατεύουμε και είναι έτοιμη η ζύμη μας.
And the filling is ready. Από την αρχή.
Ναι, πάμε.
So we're ready to make our phyllo now, but first we're going to put oil in our baking tray, and we use this big one for our wood oven outside. It's from copper, but you can use of course any baking tray you prefer. So before you start working with your dough, you don't want it to stick to the table or to your wood, your plaster, so you're going to put some flour on the table. So we're going to start making our phyllo. So Mrs. Julia is actually going to make 3 layers of phyllo at the bottom. Then she's going to put her filling, and then she's going to end with 3 layers of the phyllo. At home you could use just 1 at the bottom and 1 on top. And like I said before, your spinach pie is going to be thin because this is the traditional way we make it.
Θα το λέμε και αυτό και τα λέμε.
Ναι.
Πάμε.
So when you roll your dough out,
Από μέσα προς τα έξω.
you start from the center, and then you with your hands you spread it outside. And of course, when it's flat on your worktop, you could also use your hands to open it to the sides. And don't forget to use flour all the time, because it will stick otherwise to your plaster or the worktop. Θέλετε λίγο αλεύρι?
Βέβαια. Βέβαια. Οι μαστόρες τώρα θα το έχουν ανοίξει. Καταλαβαίνεις.
Δεν πειράζει, μια χαρά το κάνετε. So it has to get the size of your tray, so we need to continue to make it bigger and thinner to cover the tray, the baking tray, and also a bit extra. So to know the exact size of your filo for your baking tray, you can use a wood where you cut your vegetables that is the same size as your baking tray, so you know when you ready and it's big enough. We need to continue a bit more, eh? So you can see it's very thin. It's like a sheet. This is how thin it has to be. And we are gonna cover our baking tray. It doesn't matter if you don't have, if it's not big enough, because with the second layer or the third layer you can cover that up. So you're going to put olive oil on your filo. Also when you put a second layer or a third layer in between, you're going to put olive oil so it bakes well and it gives a nice crispy structure. And so we have 3 layers of filo in our baking tray, and we're going to put our stuffing. And like I said, each layer of filo you put olive oil. So we put all our filling, we got the big pieces out. You actually even it so there's enough filling everywhere. And then we're going to continue making more filo for the top 3 layers.
Τέρμα.
And the last layer of filo, like a sheet to cover it up. Nice.
Τέλειο.
Perfect. So, to close it well on the sides, you take all the layers together. To close up the layers good at the sides, you take all layers and you roll it like Mrs. Julia shows us, with oil in between all the layers. So you put some oil on the edges. So when your filo is bigger than your tray, doesn't matter because you need it at the end. So you roll it all up, and this way it's closed properly, your pie, and it won't leak at the sides.
Πολύ αλεύρι.
Πολύ αλεύρι, για να μην κολλήσει. So you put oil in between all the layers, you take them all together, you roll it up and close the side, the edges.
Έρχομαι.
Πάμε.
So before you bake your spinach pie, you cut the pie already in the pieces you like to serve it. And you cut through all the layers of filo, the filling and the bottom layers of filo, so also it gets air through the whole pie and it's going to be baked properly. So we are going to cut square pieces this way, but you can cut it any way you like. If you want bigger pieces, you cut it in bigger pieces. So, admire your handmade, love-made spinach pie. Oh yeah.
Ωραία.
A recipe from the grandmother of Mrs. Julia, given through to 3 generations.
Σηκώστε τα
So,
ταξίδια.
in the village, before you can bake your bread, and you have to burn the wood in the wood oven, you have to go and get your wood. Yeah, Mrs. Julia? This is village life.
Φτάνει να πάω να φέρω κι άλλα.
Βάλτε μέσα ξύλα.
Κάτσε να ανάψει τώρα, μην βιάζει. Θέλει να ανάψω και θα σπρώξω κι εγώ. Θα ανάψω, και μετά μην δεν βάλαμε.
Θέλατε.
Εντάξει. Να ρίξουμε το ψωμί, πρέπει το στόμιο να γίνει άσπρο, να ασπρίσει. Και μέσα.
Okay, you might not have an oven like this back home, but if you have, the oven is ready, hot enough, when the opening and the stones inside are white. You see, it's getting whiter and it's still a bit black, so you have to keep on putting wood. So it's hot
Τι
enough.
κάνει όμως τώρα, γιατί το κάνει αυτό. Ρώτησε τη.
So now, Mrs. Julia.
Αυτό το κάνουμε για να θερμανθεί πάρα πολύ καλά κάτω ο φούρνος.
Yeah. So she's putting the wood that's burnt. So she's putting the wood that it's burnt to the edges and to the entrance. So it's getting hot. So she's putting the wood that's burnt around to the stones and to the entrance. So it's heating up and it gets white color. So now the oven is hot enough because also the opening is white, all the bricks are white. And Mrs. Julia is taking this wet cloth to clean it up. We have taken all the ashes and the charcoal out. So the spinach pie is ready to be baked in the oven. Normally at home you do it for 45 minutes in an oven that has about 356 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, there we go. Θέλεις βοήθεια? Το κάνουμε μαζί?
Όχι.
Όχι. Μπορείς.
Ωραία.
Θέλει όχι.
Θα το δείτε κι
It was
εσείς.
an hour and 15 minutes in our wood oven. It looks very good. You see, it's like crispy, the phyllo. It's baked through and at the bottom.
Να είναι έτοιμη. Ορίστε.
Oh, look,
Oh,
perfect. This is how it should look, the phyllo. Up and down, golden color and crispy. It looks very good. I can't wait to have a bite. We had a very nice day with you, Mrs. Julia. And I hope you will come or be able to come soon to enjoy a day like this with us. Bye! Kallioliksi!